I'll bring your piece.
Oh, yeah.
So to make it 5 then?
So make it 5, yep.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, I could have. Never mind.
You're funny.
I'm really getting bigger, yeah, heavy.
No, thanks, Brenda. No, I've gotten
Be a good,
life.
be a good.
No, thank you. This might keep you quieter, but.
Nancy had to change her upstairs window because of 3 inches of rain. 3 inches of rain.
Drove down to her and just picked up 9 more boats.
Really?
She's working on her 140 foot railroad. She can fix it up herself.
Go to store in the morning, get coffee, get 20.
You good, Jesse? All right, I've got 5 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order today, Monday, April 22nd, 2024. Roll call, we have Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Eric Eaton, Mackenzie Jewett, Kevin Buck, myself, Jamie Thurlow, Town Manager Jesse Dunbar, and Town Clerk Sarah Abbott. Adoption of agenda, is there anything anyone would like to change? I think we need to add an executive session for personnel matters. So if we could add that at the very last thing on the meeting.
Yep.
You want a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion to add executive session to the end of the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to add an executive session titled personnel matters at the end of the meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, next we have committee appointments. We have Lobster Boat Race Committee that we talked about a couple weeks ago. We've had a few people apply here and a lot more that would like to help. Right now we have Ellen Mitchell, Bonnie Lewis, Teresa Mitchell, Kat Murphy, and you say Beth Lawson withdrew her application, so, and Molly Goodwin. So there's 5. Doesn't look like you had any issue filling the opening.
No, I got a little nervous because I was like, I don't know how many people are gonna come.
Yeah.
We have a lot of volunteers.
Okay.
That's good.
We got together last week, we're getting together Wednesday. We were wondering though, the money that is made like from like t-shirt sales this year, will that stay specifically for the boat races?
Yeah, what we had done before was set up what I call an account, but whatever Jesse calls it for,
Jesse kept track
just
of
for,
it.
yeah, just for that purpose, and then use it. So if you raise an additional 10,000, just say, then next year that can be used by the same committee to do whatever
Okay,
you would
well,
like.
and we were talking about maybe getting some like collapsible picnic tables and things.
Yep.
For the town to have for other things too.
Yep.
Oh, when they send I already have people who I send them checks to in the next week or so. You're just gonna shoot us an email of like where we're at. Okay.
Yep.
Do it all in motion.
Yeah, I think
I
so,
don't
right?
see any
Yeah.
reason not to.
Yep.
I make a motion to appoint Ellen Mitchell, Bonnie Lewis, Kathleen Murphy, Teresa Mitchell, and that's it, and Molly Goodwin, as members of to the seats available on the Lobster Boat Race Committee, expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Ellen Mitchell, Bonnie Lewis, Teresa Mitchell, Kat Murphy, and Molly Goodwin to seats on the Lobster Boat Race Committee with term expiring June 30th, 2027. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there's bylaws that you adopted from the 175th, did I hear you say last time?
It's on the, yeah, later on the agenda. so,
Yep.
I'll
Oh,
get you a copy.
and you can, okay, that's, yep.
Yeah, and anything you guys need for assistance, like you said, more than, I know there's tons of people that are willing to help, so.
There are,
Yeah,
but
that's good.
Jesse's my contact for the town, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yes.
And when is it? June what?
23rd.
Okay, next, we have public hearing. We have four different articles that are gonna be on the May 13th secret ballot referendum. Just to be clear, all of these articles are going to be on the ballot, so this isn't a debate on whether they're gonna be on the ballot or not. This is just to answer questions about it. I guess we'll do, you wanna just do one at a time, or just open up the public
I do
hearings?
one at a time.
Okay, so first thing we have is short-term rental licensing ordinance. And I'll open the public hearing at 5:05. Questions?
Is there any outline to what it entails? I guess.
Yes, there's the ordinance that
Okay. I didn't
that
see
we're
that.
adopting, that's gonna be voted on. Is there copies down here?
Yep, copies on.
Yep,
Are there also copies of the application over there?
No, I didn't put them on there.
Okay.
it's to, basically gather information is where the town started it, to, have you register to how you rent your property, I guess, is more or less what it is. And what did we decide on a fee? I know we went back and forth, but $25, so very minimal fee, just enough to basically cover the paperwork. But- Any more questions?
What happens with the $25?
What's that?
What are you gonna do with the $25?
Oh, I think it's going into just the time that it will take the staff to handle the paperwork is basically what everybody's thinking.
Well, I have a question.
Yep,
So for instance, here, you say that the amount of people in your rental. Say for instance, I have 2 bedrooms,
mhm.
3 beds, but I have a futon in my living room. Are you gonna tell me that I can't have 6 people in my rental?
Probably the question would be better if Mark could answer, because we didn't write this, the planning board did. And Mark, what was it's 2 people, or,
Limits,
2 people per bedroom plus 2 people.
yeah, 2 people per bedroom plus 2 people. So you can
So that would
have-
be okay.
Who's
Yep.
gonna monitor that? Like, who's gonna know? Like,
At this point, it was gonna be more of just a registration. What it was brought to us is there was a petition that came around, how it all started. There was a petition that came to the select board and said, you need to do something about this. So we, asked the planning board to, because that's their department, and, have them draft up just a registration, and that's what they did. There were some things that kind of got added in as we went, and then they kind of pulled them, a lot of them have got pulled back out, so it's been simplified again, I think. He had, Noel Musson helped, he was hired to help assist the planning board.
So the reason for this letter, what is their purpose?
To the,
Well, this is whoever,
With
the
the signatures.
signatures
Oh,
or
I don't
whatever
know.
that brought this.
You'll have to ask
What is
them.
their purpose?
You would have to ask them, not, it's nothing.
Well, I don't know anybody that is here that really signed it.
I can't answer that one for you.
Are you keeping track of like people that don't live here and have multiple rentals? Like, is that how it all got started? Not about the local people that live in our houses and.
Yeah,
We weren't
Like,
keeping
that's what
track of
you're trying to do
anything
is-
Yeah,
at
we weren't
first.
keeping
We weren't
track.
keeping track of
Yeah.
anything
No, no,
until
but I
this
mean,
came.
now you're just trying to keep track of all of them?
Figure out how
Or are
many.
you gonna like, and thinking of tiers of the out-of-staters that buy up all our properties and then
Yeah.
rent them out and then never come here?
there's no, basically, there was nothing to come along, this was just a count, a tally to see what there is.
Just to get started?
Yeah, just to
Okay.
see, and then, you know, there's no plans for the future of any sort that we
Okay.
have, so. Just to figure out what there is, how many are year-round residents that are renting, how many are seasonal residents, how many, houses that are also just lived in for a couple weeks, you know, so on. Yes, Becky?
Once you find out that tally, what's gonna make the difference? What are you gonna do about it? Does anybody know?
We didn't have a plan to do anything with it. It's not.
So is it just a small group of people who wanna know how many rentals there are in town? And then say you have rentals that are bought up by investors or whatever you have, and you're gonna all of a sudden say, oh, no, you can't buy that house anymore, or you're gonna tell the owner you can't sell that house. How do you, even when you know the numbers, how do you control it? There seems to be no control over who I sell my house to or who I don't sell my house to. I mean,
Yeah.
or is it gonna be written in the town law someplace that when you buy it, and it's always been a short-term rental, you cannot ever rent it again? It can never be a short-term rental again.
That's way off from anything that we, I mean, we're
Well, this
not
is-
even close to that.
It just doesn't seem any purpose for all of this stuff that's going on. There's no reason to do it, and there's no reason that it's being done, because in the end, there's really nothing that's gonna, it doesn't solve any problems.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are looking at low-income housing and housing whatever, but it doesn't seem to do anything.
Yeah, I've got some, but I'll go on Mark first.
Wasn't the idea that just to get a gauge if there is a problem or whatever? I know there were concerns, and, you know, I didn't see this letter that was submitted, and I don't know anything about that, but even people have come to the planning board and expressed concerns about the loss of year-round housing on the island here. And so I think this was just a step to see, get people to register to see if there is a problem. And, you know, there's no plans of what to do. It doesn't prevent anybody from renting their house.
Okay, so,
Right now.
right.
Well, and if it were to change, it certainly would go before the voters. So you would have to weigh in on that at the time.
Yeah, and this still goes to vote, like we've said. This is gonna go to vote, and if, you know, the town doesn't want it, then they can choose to vote it down. That's fine, but it goes, there's no restrictions with it. This is just a sign up, to see how many there is, basically. And like you said, just to gather information. It was a next step, that's all it was.
And there's some life safety issues here too.
Yes, yep, and I do agree with that. That was one thing that, there were a few complaints of people renting out like basements and stuff like that. They weren't safe. 911 was called, they couldn't find the address, there were no smoke detectors, et cetera. I know a lot of us, that's a very normal thing to make sure all that stuff is legitimate, but you know, some people weren't doing that. So this, you have to just sign saying, yes, I've got smoke detectors and I have my stuff up to par. So if anything ever did happen.
So the code enforcement officer is gonna come around to each house and make sure we all have smoke detectors and all that?
No, it's
So they'll be
only
looking for
by,
inspections.
if, just one person at a time, please. It's only if there's an issue. So if there is an issue, because we went over this at our last meeting, we talked about it. So if you, for instance, had someone who called 911 and said, you know, there's no smoke detector going off in the house or something like that, then the town would come out and take a look at it, see if you really did have one or not. If you didn't, then they would say you have to get this fixed. It's only by a complaint.
Mine goes off all the time.
Something's supposed to go somewhere.
It's up here, it's like food time.
What are you cooking?
No, up behind me.
I'm like, oh.
Any other questions?
So the Article C that we're gonna vote on this, is a short-term leasing ordinance, come May 13th.
Yep.
The town's gonna, if overwhelming, we don't want it. So there's no, so it gets thrown up, no $25 a month, no, or a year, or whatever it is, or have you guys established that this is what it's gonna cost us?
I guess I'm not following what you're saying. If it's,
Are we gonna vote whether we
Yeah.
want this or not?
yeah, if it's voted down, there's nothing, then there
There's
would
nothing.
No,
Yeah, we're gonna go right back to normal.
yes.
Okay. Whatever.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on short-term rental ordinance at 5:15. Next, we have Article D, which is the comprehensive plan adoption. We'll have the public hearing for that open at 5:16. Okay, anybody have any questions about the comp plan?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Did
Yes,
you
Becky.
change, I haven't looked at it, I haven't seen it, I didn't know it was available to read, but, in the comprehensive plan, have they changed the business residential areas and that sort of thing in the new one?
No.
Okay, so all stays the same, everything is the same as it is now?
Yep, yes.
Okay.
Yep. I think it just showed, when I looked at it, areas that they would like to see more growth in, like around the town center and more business in that area. And I think they, locate, I should let you speak on behalf of the comprehensive plan. Would you like to just give me a quick summary, would be great.
Well, I know as far as the growth areas, I'm Sarah White, I worked on the comprehensive plan task force. It was, like you said, around the center of the town, but also kind of the Kellytown Road area there. And they also looked at places that weren't amenable to growth. So they just kind of specified those type of areas.
But the comprehensive plan is, I'm Jane Ashford, the comprehensive, I was also on the task force, the comprehensive plan is just a goal. It doesn't put anything into place in town whatsoever. It's just something that the board will use, the select board and the planning board will use as they go forward over the next 10 years. It's required by the state of Maine in order for Tremont to qualify for state grants.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so, I was
Okay.
just, I had heard, you always get rid of those, but I had heard they wanted to get rid of business residential areas and from like Bernard Corner up, which
No.
would be detrimental to a lot of
Yeah.
people, so.
No, that's not true. Yes?
Probably, answering Becky a little bit, it is a set of recommendations, okay, so that, let's say if there are any changes in zoning or land use, that would have to be voted on separately.
Comes to you guys.
It has nothing to do with the comprehensive. It might be they might be recommending some changes in the comprehensive plan, but the adoption into the ordinance is a separate matter. It would have to be decided on by the planning board and by the voters, and, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark. Do you have anything, Jesse?
No, I was just gonna basically say what Mark said,
Okay.
it's just a guide, so
Yeah.
if you wanna change the zones, you should reference what this is suggesting when you propose those changes.
Yes.
Probably also good to mention the fact this didn't appear out of thin air, that there was a long process involved
Mhm.
with public participation as well, so. It wasn't like one committee that came up with this. It incorporated from the meetings with what we had and the surveys and that sort of thing.
All right, any more questions on the comprehensive plan? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for the comp plan at 5:19. Next, we have Article E, which is the Land Use Ordinance Amendment. I will open the public hearing for that at 5:20. Mark, not to put you on the spot, but do you want to, I mean, it'd be best coming from you, you can summarize the big changes.
Okay. Land use ordinance. Some of these things are bringing it, the ordinance in line with state requirements, something we don't have a choice for. For instance, LD 2003, it's a new law which allows multifamily dwellings in all zones that allow single-family dwellings. And in that case, it's the harbor shoreland and limited residential shoreline land zones. There's also a DEP requirement that for pre and post-construction photos of construction in the shoreland zone. The land use table, there are changes there. Some of it has to do with just formatting. And also recently, or within the last 6 months or so, it was discovered that the land use table required the planning board to approve sheds and garages and other residential accessory structures, which has never happened before. It's always been, the CEO has been the person to approve those. And the way we've changed it, it sends it back to the CEO so that we don't have to deal with it, which is ridiculous, to say the least. Some changes in solar. I guess this, people were asking, how do you need a permit for rooftop solar? We have, what we're proposing is, we're allowing rooftop arrays without a permit for homes and businesses, such as like a boatyard or something, when they put it on their roof. A permit would be required for the ground mounted type, okay, and that's because our CEO says that's a structure, and so that you would need a permit. Also, we've created a category called industrial solar, which is the large commercial solar arrays. And we're saying no at this time, that they're not allowed in town. And the reason is, we don't really have any standards for these. And it's a good question whether we even want them in town, but that's a different matter. But if we develop, we need standards developed that we are going to allow them, just like we have for telecommunication towers, that sort of thing. You know, there's nothing about fencing, buffering might be different, nothing about decommissioning these things if they're no longer in use. Erosion control, things that maybe our site plan review ordinance doesn't address fully right now. So there's that. We are allowing, with the industrial solar, we are allowing it for projects like here on the town landfill. And I don't know if you guys got the latest we did make a change after our public hearing on it, and we took it out of the actual definition, and we made it a footnote of the land use table, and basically what it says, we're saying no excluding projects on land owned by the municipality of Tremont, and that would be subject to current standards, and planning board approval would be required, just like everything else. So that would allow further expansion of the landfill solar arrays to go forward. Am I forgetting anything, Jesse? Oh, and there's some definition changes for the solar. For the addition definitions for solar.
Thank you, Mark. It's a lot better coming from you. You know all the ins and outs of it.
Oh.
Okay, any questions? Okay, well,
Well, actually, I've got a couple.
okay.
The, on the lot coverage on the harbor shoreland and the commercial fisheries, Mark, does that stay required, where it's reduced from 70% to 20?
No.
Okay.
Where's the cap?
Page 15 and 16.
Yeah.
The CEO suggested that, because
That's-
it's 20 for residential and all.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask, is that similar to what other
All the
zones
other
are?
shorefront
Okay.
zones are 20.
Okay, that's what I was concerned with, make sure that was consistent.
Yeah.
And I've got some issues with the solar definitions. I don't think on-site usage is a good way to control it. I think the size of the array is a better option. And it's pretty standard on the industrial size would probably be 1 megawatt. And again, just whether it's on-site or off-site usage on the other two categories, I think should be eliminated.
I know, we went over, I don't know. I don't.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Okay. On page 82, you have the definition of industrial solar.
Correct.
And on the end of the third line, it starts out primarily a solar for off-site utility grid use. And I think that just should say commercial, industrial solar is greater than 1 megawatt of output. Controlling where it's used is going to be a real
Why?
issue. Why?
Why do you think it should say that?
Because controlling whether it's used on-site or off-site is going to be a problem.
It was the 1 megawatt lot.
That's a pretty standard industrial size. You know, people that are doing that are going to be probably tying into the grid if it's that size or bigger. And it's the same thing on the commercial and residential definitions. I think if you just eliminate the intended, okay, this is page 78, starting at the end of the fourth line on the commercial solar. Intended to primarily reduce on-site consumption of utility, power, and/or fuels. I think if you line out that section and the similar one on residential solar on page 86. Controlling whether it's used on or off sites. Really tough.
So essentially what we're trying to do is allow people, homeowners or business owners, to have their own solar array, correct? And when it comes to actually selling power, such as Ampion might be doing, or some of these other ones, we're saying no until we develop standards for that.
Yeah, but that's,
I mean,
I understand that, but you're in the industrial category, Mark, and that's already, you've already excluded that from every zone. They're not gonna put in a smaller than 1 megawatt array. That's not gonna happen. not on a commercial use like that. What it is, if you're specifying it's gotta be primarily used on site, that means if someone puts up a permitted ground mount array on their property, that they're not supposed to be able to use the credits from that solar at their house or at their other business or something like that. There's no reason to exclude that. It's gonna be the same size array. It's just where those credits are going for that. All the solar gets put into the grid unless someone is completely standalone. So it's just trying to control where it's actually being used or credited would be more accurate. It doesn't make sense. You're not gonna be able to do that.
So what you're saying, Kevin, is if I had a array at the house and I couldn't use all the power that it made, then I wouldn't, what you're proposing is that I could use it as credits at the boatyard,
Yeah,
whereas
which is pretty standard
Yeah,
usage. That's
but
done a lot.
how this is worded, I wouldn't be able to,
Yeah,
is that how?
yeah, if you planned on setting it up for that.
Okay, I get it.
I mean, I think it's fine, Mark, other than that, I just think,
In discussions, I think basically, we considered that that's between you and the power company, first of all.
okay, so let's not put it in the ordinance.
Okay, and it says primary or solely, and we seem to think that primarily took care of that.
I disagree.
I don't. The planning board has done their, I mean, you guys have had public hearings about it.
We had a public hearing,
Yeah. And you,
I think we brought up this before and asked to have it revisited, and it didn't get changed.
I think no change except for
Yeah.
town piece.
But aren't we not here to change it? This is, I mean, that's what you said to Mary about the short term. We're not here to change it, we're here to answer questions. It goes to the voters. Isn't this
Yeah.
the same thing? We're not supposed to be tweaking this tonight?
Yeah.
It's supposed to go to the voters on the 13th?
Yep.
You have the option to change the language. You can't pull it off the warrant.
Yeah, we
But
can't,
you can change
Okay.
yeah, we
the
can,
verbiage in it.
yeah.
So if they eliminated the word primary, would that do it?
I think it's on.
I
No,
think that
that's
whole
what
thing,
allows what Kevin suggested.
I specified what I think should be lined out, and it would work fine. And again, I don't like the idea of putting something in there we can't enforce anyway.
That's right. Yes.
Well, I've never had to make changes to anything when they get to this point. Well, what do you do if someone wants to make a change, Jesse? Do you take a vote on it, or?
If you wanted to change it, you have to make a motion on specifically what you want to change.
Okay,
And then we just edit the final document
okay.
before we sign it.
All right, so you wanna get through any other questions, and then if you wanna. if
What's
there's
your
something you-
suggested change again, please?
Okay, on page 78, starting on the fourth line, the end of the fourth line, starting at the word intended. Intended to primarily reduce on-site consumption of utility power and/or fuels. Just line out that section.
I don't have 78 here.
Me neither.
It's in the,
It was on your desk.
Yeah, okay.
Those are-
I was looking
They
for
got
it, and I'm
missed in
like,
the
what?
packet. I
It
had-
goes from
Yeah,
76 to
I
79.
grabbed what I had at home, and I
Yeah.
don't, go ahead.
Okay, again, starting on the fourth line of commercial solar energy, with the word intended mark, line out through that to the next line to fuels.
Line up for what now?
Line out intended to primarily reduce on-site consumption of utility power and/or fuels.
I'm not gonna go against what the planning board has approved, I'm sorry. This is what we, you know.
Okay, well, I'm gonna suggest it in a few minutes.
I don't feel I have the authority to do
Okay,
that. We
no,
voted on it.
I'm just telling you
We
what,
voted on it
Yeah. okay, and the same thing on residential solar on page 86. with me? You see what I mean?
Yep.
Would you like me to read it to you?
Sure.
Intended to primary.
Yeah, starting with the fourth line there, intended to primarily reduce on-site consumption of utility power and/or fuels. Line that up.
Intended to primarily reduce on-site consumption of utility power and/or fuels. That's what you want to strike.
Yeah, actually, if you want to just take primarily, if you want to just eliminate the word off-site or on-site, no, it's off-site on the industrial.
Once again, we as a planning board voted on this, and I don't have the
Okay.
authority.
No, I understand that. We do up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just telling you what I'm suggesting for changes, Mark.
If
And
that
under-
happened, Kevin, then can people like us, can we still use the credit from the apartment solar array?
It's not going to change anything existing. This is going forward.
Okay, this is going forward, okay.
And that was what I was gonna ask next about the, I know, I'm sure it is, but I just want to be open with that with the lot coverage, the residential, I don't see that being an issue. Because lots now have to be 1 acre, obviously, but any lots that are under an acre that are they're grandfathered in, cause that 20% residential would, it would be a big issue. The only question I had for you, Jesse, would be, what if you did, work to a dwelling that was in a grandfathered lot? Would that, like a tear down, just for instance, I just wanna make sure you'd be okay with that. It's not gonna be in that 20%. If you had like a 1/4 acre, grandfathered lot on the water.
Yeah, if you did it within the correct timeframe, yes.
Okay, yep. That's my only questions. Okay, any other questions on the land use ordinance?
I have a quick question for Mark.
Yep.
So you said that you wanted to get standards put in place going forward. Is that something, like if this passed at town meeting, is that something the planning board is gonna get at soon? Is like that?
That's the plan.
That's on
yes.
your radar?
That's the plan.
Okay, okay.
And supposedly, we're supposed to be working with Climate to Thrive to help develop those standards.
So would it be bad to leave it alone and let them do their thing after town meeting?
Those standards,
Or no?
that would only apply to the industrial, what we're defining as the industrial solar.
You're not planning on changing the residential or commercial, so I'd say those changes are going to stay
That
if we
was
don't
the
do something
motion.
about it.
Okay.
I'm fine with dealing with industrial down the road, but I think the other two need to be changed.
All right, any
Can we
other?
go back to that, you were just talking about land use on shorefront,
Yes,
what's the 20% again?
the 20%, I wanted to just be clear, that it's on all new construction. So if you have shorefront residential, property, then it would be, if you bought because now you have to have a minimum of 1 acre, to build on, which has been the
Yeah.
state
I don't
standard.
So, sorry to interrupt, it's actually for 2 zones. It doesn't say shorefront. It's
It's
harbor shoreland
shoreline,
zone,
yeah, sorry.
which isn't all waterfront.
Yep.
And commercial fishery, the commercial fisheries maritime activity zones.
So I guess, well, my old house is considered that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
everything's grandfathered in, that was my question to Jesse, everything's grandfathered, and if you, like, for instance, if you tore the house down and wanted to rebuild there, then I know, because I've done it before with the DEP allows you X amount of time, like 3 years to do so, and then you're all grandfathered. So this wouldn't affect anything that's existing, it would only be new, like if you bought a 1 acre parcel of land on the water,
Okay.
you could not build more than 20%, and I just did the math, roughly 8,000 square feet, 8,800 square foot house, so it's large, so.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's a state requirement, it's nothing that we're proposing, it's something forced upon us.
But that wasn't, was it, Mark?
No,
Huh?
that one's not.
That one.
That one wasn't?
No,
Oh,
that was
okay,
the,
I thought you were talking about.
like I said, the CEO, asked about that, I think. But I did the math on it real quick, and I said, that's a large,
Well,
that's a really large house
yeah,
anyway.
the
so
only
that's-
other thing it would affect is expanding property you've already got construction on.
Yep,
It might limit that.
yep, expanding on your, I know you're allowed to expand only 10% though, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, there's different stuff.
On a grandfathered lot as it is, that's the state.
Yeah, and that's in the zones that are basically meant for commercial
Yep.
fisheries, so and that's limiting the residential, not the commercial.
So you're already restricted more than that on a grandfathered lot anyway. All right, any more questions? Okay, I will close the public hearing at 5:39. Are you gonna do that now or after?
Yeah, should I make a motion on that now? Okay, I guess we've already approved it, so I'm just gonna motion to make the changes, not to approve it as changed.
Before your meeting's over, the short-term rental and the land use, the motions that are on the.
Oh, okay,
So you wanna wait and do it then?
yeah,
You
I'll
can.
I'll not do that.
Okay, let's just wait, if you're, was that Kevin?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, next we have Article F, which is Site Plan Review Ordinance Amendment. I'll open the public hearing for that at 5:40. Mark, you want to chime in on that as well?
May as well.
You want, you bring your notes at least, I say.
Should have taken a nap before I came.
Yeah.
Slept late last night. Basically, we found on the planning board there were some projects, and notably was the Archie's Lobster there, where they made some minor changes to the structure that tripped site plan review, and they had to go through the full review. So we're proposing a minor site plan review. In this case, it's for smaller projects, and that would be, not come before the planning board, it would be CEO approval. And it's basically new or expansion of, it's not of non-residential projects, 600 to 999 square feet, change of use, impervious surface, extraction mining up to 999 feet. And if it doesn't require an MDOT traffic movement permit. So these smaller projects that would normally trip a full review by the planning board would no longer be required to come before the planning board. They go directly to the CEO, and that person can just approve it like they do for a garage or a residential structure. I mean,
I know, very minor stuff, some of it. It's-
right.
I don't know how it ever got lumped in with that, but I fell into there as well, and it's a big process for a very small job.
Right, yep.
Any questions? No? All right, if there's no questions, I will close the public hearing at 5:42. All right, we're through our public hearing. Next, we have approval of minutes. We have the minutes from April 8th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 8th, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2024. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Dane,
Yes.
your two motions, we need to make on public hearing, you have to make now.
do you want to do them now?
Down forever. Just have to do it. Public hearing.
Okay.
Under Article C and Article E.
I make a motion to certify and sign the May 13th, 2024 version of the short-term rental licensing ordinance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to certify and sign the May 13th, 2024 version of the short-term rental licensing ordinance. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, next we have the comprehensive plan. I don't see.
No, there's an item motion. I think it's just on the
Yeah,
article.
just
Okay.
C and E.
Okay, gotcha. And we'll go to E, which is the land use ordinance.
I make a motion to certify and sign the May 13th, 2024 version of the land use ordinance with the following changes. Under the definition of commercial solar, delete the wording intended to primarily reduce on-site consumption of utility power and/or fuels. And under the residential, let me get the terminology right, residential solar energy systems, to eliminate wording intended to primarily, reduce on-site consumption of utility power and/or fuels.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to certify and sign the May 13th, 2024 version of the land use ordinance as amended by Kevin. Can I just say that? Is there any discussion? I'm a little nervous about changing what the planning board has done. They put a lot of work into it, and
I'd rather not do it.
I think that, you know, we
I also
tried to-
think we said we couldn't make changes to the short-term ordinance. Why can we make
Yeah.
changes to this? I feel like that's not fair.
Yep.
Like if somebody from the audience wanted to make changes to that, we told them, no, it has to go to the voters. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't understand solar.
Yeah.
It goes straight over my head, so it's
Yep.
it's nothing personal about solar or any of your opinions. I'm sure it's all fine. I just
want to make sure that our boards have worked hard, you know, on all this stuff, and I think if people disagree, then just don't, you know, vote against it.
go, yep,
That's-
you gotta
I
vote.
guess that's my thing. Okay, take a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, we'll need to have another motion for that.
I motion to
as-
certify and sign the May 13th, 2024 version of the land use ordinance amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to certify and sign the May 13th, 2024 version of the land use ordinance amendment. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. That's the last one you need, Jesse.
Yep.
Okay. Approval of warrants. We have warrant 99 for $2,716.87. 100 for $14,359.90. 101 for $55,749.36. And 102 for $14,666.15.
I motion to approve warrants 99 through 102.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve warrants 99 through 102. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, regular business. Now we have the Lobster Boat Race Committee bylaws.
These are pretty much your standard committee bylaws, under the objectives. I've obviously, made it specific to this, event. I also added, that where the committee can administer a Facebook event page, as long as I'm an admin to the page. They can do that to promote the event. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as all your other committees, 5 members, quorum
And if I'm correct, this year we won't have an account, as I call it, set up for them.
Correct,
It'll
you'll
just
have
be
to-
next year, we'll
yeah,
have a reserve.
they'll just have to
So,
create it on the next.
Yep, okay.
Town meeting one.
Yep. No, because I think, it sounds like they have a lot of momentum here. Hopefully they can get a pile of money raised and
Yeah.
maybe have some left for next year. Yes, Mark?
Quick question, what are they gonna do?
Well, they're gonna raise prizes. It's kind of, I don't know if you remember back 13, 14 years ago when it started, it was huge. Remember
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fireworks and the.
Covered for a number of years.
Yeah, it was a big, big thing, and it's kind of dwindled out. So I think they're trying to get a little spark back in it and do a little lobster bake the day before and kind of make a whole thing of it. Remember Alan used to have the car, yeah, he used to do the car show and get a bunch of prizes, try to, push it a little bit more again, so.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty neat.
I make a motion to adopt and sign the lobster boat race committee bylaws.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt and sign the lobster boat race committee bylaws. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, next we have town manager's report.
Alright, this one will be short. I drafted the lobster race committee bylaws, meeting prep for tonight. I've been away on vacation. The office staff was busy with the BMV report, town meeting prep, ordered the annual reports. Public Works has been busy with washout repairs. Truck 9 came back from Bangor and brush and tree removal. And the harbor master launched the Seal Coat floats, hauled out the south side and launched the north side of the ramp floats and launched the harbor master boat. And over the next few weeks, I'll be working on town meeting prep and hosting the Lake of Town meeting here tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Date of the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, May 6, 2024 at 5 PM at the town office.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to have confirmed the date of the next meeting for Monday, May 6, 2024, 5 PM here at the town office. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? And lastly, we have an executive session titled Personnel Matters.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to find that public discussion of these personnel matters could be reasonably expected to cause damage to the employee's reputation and/or to violate the employee's privacy rights, and therefore to go into executive session to discuss the employment, appointment, assignment, duties, promotion, demotion, compensation, evaluation, disciplining, resignation, and/or dismissal of an individual or group of public officials, appointees, or employees as permitted by 1 MRSA 4056A.
Second.
Mark, you just getting a chuckle out of it or what?
I just wanted to hear the end.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session titled Personnel Matters as read by Mackenzie. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I thought you were.
No, sorry. Jumping the gun.
Yeah. Okay, we come out of executive session at 6:14. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?